in my 25 years of really being a businessman, and I'm a lifelong learner. I'm looking to help people become lifelong learners in this industry and help generate long-term wealth through real estate assets. And really, this vision has developed 1,000 communities, 2,000 leaders, 10,000 financially free people, over 100,000 millionaires, and there's 1 million members in this group. So GRID is not just this little office here, it's actually a larger network of people that actually have tons of experience in this industry and are able to assist you in developing your next set of investments as you grow as a real estate investor. So who are we? Why do we run this group? And what do we want to accomplish with you? And how can you connect with us? So first of all, I'm John Schneider. I've been in this business for about 25 years, and God, I've done a lot of real estate types of deals. Commercial, residential, multifamily, rentals, flips, land contracts, lease options, all those types of deals over the last 25 years I've put together, and can assist you with your understanding of them and hopefully help you grow into that real estate asset as well. We've got Amani Jones. You want to introduce yourself, Amani?
Hello, I'm Amani Jones. I've been working with John for like 5 years now, 6 almost. It's kind of crazy, time flies. I'm mostly commercial. Mostly do commercial real estate, like multifamily, industrial. We actually just got our first industrial deal locked up today. Sweet. So good day.
Was it 3.5 million? Is that
3.5 million, 6%. So it was a good day. Yeah. So that's what I do. You guys want to learn about how to invest in some commercial stuff? Give me a call. I got deals for you all day.
You're the deal finder.
Then we've got Michelle Carolla. Michelle, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
So I've been working with John for about 2.5 years, real estate for maybe 3.5 years. For this team, I analyze properties, help him find properties. I design all of our properties. I have a separate staging business that I stage our properties and other people's. And so, yeah, just lots of little stuff.
And then we've got our special guest, Chris Hakes, and I'll give you just a quick how I met Chris. When I first got into investing in real estate, Chris was involved in a Northern Bay at the time, and was selling. There were some properties, there were some units there that were going through foreclosure, and we were able to buy like 6 sets of appliances. So we came up there with like a U-Haul truck and just like piled appliances in it, and we were going to use them for all of our flips. And that was like the very first. And Dave Growls, who's a mutual friend of ours, had made the introduction. And then I've been through some of Chris's readings in the past. But go ahead, Chris, and kind of instead of me reading your bio, you want to just give us a quick introduction?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the trenches 30 years now, over 30 years, and you know, it's been a journey of lessons. I tell you what, you know, for you guys and gals, it's so fun. But what I didn't have when I started is what you guys have right now, and that's these rooms. You know, so take advantage of that, the networking and the association. It's priceless. You can't even put a price on it. I flew all over the country going to 3-day seminars and boot camps, and then would come back to Wisconsin, and I was all by myself. And I had to try to figure it out for years. And back then, it was in the 90s, it was a good old boys club. You know, the guys who owned all the apartments all over Madison, and they weren't really fired up about teaching a 27-year-old guy. So take advantage of these groups and these networking opportunities, because, man, talk about shortcutting the learning process. You guys are doing it just by being here. So, yeah, I run a real estate investor association, and self-storage is kind of where I guess I hang my hat right now. The last 6 years, development and acquisition. So, continue building the team and continuing to go teach and train and educate others.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for inviting.
And then I think we can go, Eric, if you wouldn't mind, just kind of doing a brief introduction, and then we can give you a couple minutes here just to talk about what it is that your firm is doing and how it can be something that could be an offering that we all could take advantage of.
Sure, of course. And yeah, thanks for inviting me today. So yeah, my name is Eric Klund. I live here in the Madison area, down in Oregon. I do wholesaling, however, kind of like all over the southeastern part of the state. Try here in Madison, however, it's a little bit expensive market to get into. So I actually did a lot of deals down in Janesville and Beloit, and then moved over doing things down in Milwaukee, and then kind of starting to spread over like the Racine and Kenosha area. Just basically with, I guess, my ability to generate off-market leads and then convert things like that, and then just kind of get deals for investors in those areas. And then in my travels, I found some certain deals that weren't able to get funded, deals that were kind of getting lost, like right before the closing table. And I was actually stepping in and taking title of these properties myself, which is kind of dumb. And so I took title and I kind of like floated to people where the buyer could re-get their funding and things like that. So a buddy of mine who lives out in Washington, who actually started this company I'm about to talk about in a minute, told me about just kind of funding the deals. He said, he gave me a crash course on how to write a mortgage, how to write a note, how to write business purpose, personal guarantee, all that stuff. And then essentially when these deals were falling through, I could essentially kind of grant those funds, like, hey, here you go, here's your purchase price and your rehab budget, pay me back in 6 months at this, this interest rate scale. So I did a couple loans like that, and then in the meanwhile, my friends out in Washington, they created a business. They had a nationwide home buying business, and then they also started, by the same happenstance, kind of started their own private money lending business, hard money lending business, and it kind of exploded. They got hedge fund backing, and then they said they needed to get loans all over the country, so they knew that I was doing a little bit based on their tutelage. So they created their business, and they didn't hire me on, I kind of work as like an agent for them. But anyway, so right now we're doing hard money lending as well, which is the capacity that I'm in here now. So if you're doing if you need a flip loan, fix and flip loan for purchase, bridge loan, we do transactional funding for wholesalers or anybody that needs to double close. And then also for the long-term side, we do DSCR loans. So if you're in a flip loan and then you're putting that thing in your portfolio, you need to refinance it into long-term funding. We got great rates for that. We get you into your long-term cash flow loan, and the next thing you know, you rinse and repeat. So anybody that's in here that's familiar with the Burr method, I'm sure everybody is. I see some heads bobbing. So anybody that's doing that, this is the perfect style loan to get into. And then, like I said, we can do the both loans. We fund your original purchase, fund all your rehab, get you to that long-term cash flow loan, rinse and repeat. We create a partnership. We're right there in the trenches with you. Like I said, myself and these other guys, all investors. So we have that same knowledge when we're underwriting deals. We see it from like a front lines, boots on the ground style. That's the way we look at everything. We're kind of a little bit different than the typical brokers that come from the finance world and then they jump into the loan side. So we just have a different little bit of empathy because we're in there with you. So
Yeah,
when we're underwriting deals, we should make money. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And just to say what you and Brian and I were talking about, Jake, is this debt service coverage ratio loan. That's what I was mentioning down there. Being at a 1.25 is what a bank would go on. Typically 1.75 sounds to be.
1.25 is mainly what we see. We'll go down as low as 1, but it's skinny.
And really what it comes down to, hey, where do I get the money? I mean, I can't tell you, one of the reasons I was able to get into this business is in 2007 when the market was crashing, I had a banking background and I was able to convince banks to give me money where nobody else, or it was a very difficult thing to get money at the time. Bank financing like that, like what he's doing, it did not exist when, in 2007 and even prior to that. So the opportunity to get into real estate with financing options that are far more creative than what is traditionally offered is such a huge advantage to you now than what it was 20, 15 years ago or whatever. So the opportunity to do business with somebody like Eric and use these hard money investors is such a great way for you to get yourself into a deal. And I always say, if you have a good deal, the money will be there. It's really all that it is. You do not need a lot of money to get into real estate. What you need is a good deal. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to get the deal and how to prospect here today. So anything else you want to add, Eric?
No, so I don't know if you have like your good local bank where you go down there and they fund your loans and stuff like that. You're gonna reach a ceiling like with your portfolio when you get to like that 10th rental property, that 12th rental property. They're essentially you're gonna hit a brick wall in regards to what funding comes to, and this is a good avenue to jump into because you can go to the stars, all the way.
Yeah, you end up having to get commercial loans, and that's a different animal. So we're also going to kind of go down the road now that we've got the kind of guest speakers and everybody who's here for GRID. We're going to go down and just talk with everybody here. Billy, if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself to start.
Yeah. So my name is Billy Jack. I'm a buy and hold investor. I've got 5 properties right now, self-manage, and They're in Columbia and Sauk counties and one in Dane. And so right now I'm looking for a deal to work and hold, buy that and hold it and try and invest that way. Everything else that's turnkey has been, it's too expensive, too hard to make money. I just haven't found any good deals to go turnkey. Everything else I had was turnkey and it was nice, close and collect rent the next day, but now everything I have is in those 5, so.
Great.
Okay.
What are you interested? So you're looking at looking for a Burr property. Are they single family, duplexes? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I would prefer multifamily.
Okay. In Dane County or surrounding areas?
Not in Dane County.
Okay.
Yeah, surrounding areas. I like Columbia County, Sauk County. Those areas.
Okay. We may have some properties for you too.
I mean, I've looked at Janesville as well, but probably not past there.
Okay, great. Jake?
Hey, I'm Jake. I currently work for Madison Gas and Electric. I work on power lines. My wife is a nurse practitioner, and so we have a lot of retirement things going on, but I'm looking for something different, something to branch out, try something new.
Awesome. Teresa?
Hi, I'm Teresa. My husband and I invest in Madison, mostly in Dane County. We have 4 properties. They have like 13 units total. I do 8 of those as midterm rentals, so that's kind of my niche right now. We self-manage all of it. I'm always looking to buy something. I'm really focused on Dane County, but maybe I'll branch out eventually, but like somewhere close where I can like be there and like see it. I'm still a little bit more comfortable with that now. Yeah, like I'm looking for anything, a flip, multifamily, small multifamily, and I'm more interested in holding multifamily, and then if I do a flip here and there for like active income, I'm always down for that, so.
Good.
Open to whatever, so.
Thanks for coming. Danny?
I'm Danny. I own a residential remodeling company in Madison here. We work kind of in the Dane County area, a little bit of Milwaukee. And yeah, I have a crew of 6, 7 guys. We started doing a lot of investor work in the beginning, and then we've grown to do a lot of designer, high-end kitchens, bathrooms, basements, that type of stuff. So I partner with some of the design companies in Madison. And I also own a duplex that I bought two years ago. Rental properties has always been my goal, long term, and I put about 2 years of work into that myself, getting that all done, and looking to refi and kind of get.
Where is it located?
Right on Park Street.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk with you about that property when we get a chance. That'd be
Yeah, absolutely.
good analysis for us to do. Brian?
I'm Brian. I have no skin in the game when it comes to real estate. I'm just starting out and trying to learn as much as I can. Interested in wholesaling right now. Just lowest risk situation for me at the moment, but trying to learn as much as I can and figure out what I can do to start out and get my foot in the door and get going while I can. And yeah, awesome.
Well, I'm Ian. I'm also in a similar situation like you. Don't own any properties or anything like that. But thanks to Imani, also he's been teaching me a lot. We went to school together, and yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out just how to make money in real estate. I mean, I really don't know what exactly. I would like the idea of owning properties for like multifamily stuff like that. I was really focused on cash flow for a while, just being young and trying to, I wish I could get something that's gonna cash flow. But yeah, I'm just interested in learning all the ways that you can make money in real estate. I kind of like it all. So.
Great, awesome. Well, thanks everybody for sharing. I think there's a couple of things that I can talk about. You guys each, and there's situations about how we can get, but really just, Ian, as far as cash flowing properties, right? That's buying something that you can generate cash flow with, and it was mentioned over by Billy about doing the BRRRR method, which is, find something that you can fix up. Really, that's going to be where you're probably going to find your first opportunity, is going to be something that's a little bit dilapidated that you can put some sweat equity in. That's usually how you're going to get something in this area to cash flow. Otherwise, being willing to step outside of the markets into like Columbia County, Sauk County, they're going to get a little bit more cash flow than Madison. Madison is, people are buying properties here at 4 caps, which basically means unless you put 50% down, you're not going to cash flow. So it's just an interesting market that we have here, although the market's slowing down. So once you team up with somebody who can give you really good information about where the market is at, you're able to find values in some areas where other people are missing it. And that's one of the things about being in a group like this, is really kind of having conversations about what's going well in the market and what's not going well, and where can you put your time and your efforts in order to get an asset that's going to actually do just that, which is cash flow.
John, who are the people that would invest in a market like this? Why would you invest in Madison?
In Madison?
Yeah.
It's interesting, we talk about this frequently because there's people who are buying property at 4 caps, and you're like, well, why would you pay that kind of money for a property that's not going to cash flow? And really it comes down to people who have institutionalized cash, either money that they're using in exchange from a sale of another asset, and they need to park that cash somewhere else so that they don't pay taxes on that gain that they've got. That's a really big, that's probably the single most single reason why people buy assets in an overvalued state. And then some of it really just is they have money. It doesn't have to be an exchange. They just have a lot of money, and they find that the depreciation that they're able to get on the asset itself is able to offset gains they get elsewhere. So they're using that as a way to diminish their taxable income. So people who have a sizable amount of capital utilize what I would deem to be the single best asset class that you can invest in, which is real estate. They use that asset class to diminish their taxable income, which keeps continues to inflate that.
And Madison is a super safe market versus somewhere like Beloit or Sauk County. That many of these other markets are less safe, so this market's more likely to appreciate at a higher rate than the other markets. So if you're super cash rich and you can't afford to put 40% down on something and have a cash flow here, you're going to appreciate faster than you would in somewhere like Beloit. We're going to cash flow really well in Beloit.
Well, you may not appreciate faster, but the risk of appreciating at a consistent rate here in Madison is very low. I mean, it's a low risk that it won't consistently appreciate. But if you look at what happened in Beloit and Beloit and Janesville in the last few years, it appreciated faster than what we see here. But the dollar values are less. So another thing about one of the reasons people buy real estate is they want the depreciation. If they're buying a $5 million asset versus a $300,000 asset, the depreciation schedule on $5 million is a lot greater, and they have a big number of cash to spend. They're not going to go buy a bunch of $300,000 properties. They're going to buy something bigger, and so they can use that money parked all in one spot. So it's just again, the game. I mean, I'm very focused on right now. My portfolio is aging into lazy equity, we call it, where the equity in the property is such that the return on that equity has diminished. And so you could either refinance it and pull it out, but then you're not getting a new depreciation schedule. So you're not using one of the tax benefits that you get from owning real estate. So you had an effort, you take an effort to find something else that's going to be a much higher value, take the cash, put it down on that asset. Now you get a new depreciation schedule. You're using those tax advantages to generate more income and reduce your taxable income. So it's a lot to go on there, yeah.
So just something that you said kind of hit me and I never thought about it before. So you go to refinance and that 27.5 years doesn't reset, it's where you're at.
Correct.
Okay.
That is.
I never thought of it like that. I always thought it would reset.
No, so you don't, your depreciation, and that's, your basis always stays the same unless you're invested in that property. So you bought it at $100,000, now it's worth $500,000, say. So if I were to, people will do exchanges where they're literally exchanging almost the identical property. Let's say they both make $3,000 in rental income a year, they're both now worth $300,000. Two guys will be like, hey, I'll buy your property, you buy my property. They exchange those assets, they had a basis of maybe, let's say it's $50,000, now they got a basis of $300,000. They just traded equal assets and got new depreciation schedules. So that's, again, people say, oh, use the Burr method. It's a good method, but you're not taking advantage of one of the major benefits of owning real estate, which is depreciation.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Jay, I just learned one other thing, right now.
That is, honestly, that's kind of where I'm at right now, and certainly I did some refinancing, I jockeyed my stuff around, but I've owned stuff for 20 years, and I should have done it, 10 years ago. And I thought, oh gosh, they're making good cash. I've said this to myself, oh, it makes good cash, why would I sell it? Well, because you're paying a lot of money, you're paying a lot of taxes on that cash, where if you were to make an exchange, you can, up your depreciation schedule, get better tax benefits, and make more cash, so better return. I've got an awesome spreadsheet for that, so we'll talk a little bit about it. So some quick legal stuff like, hey, this is all just examples. We're not representing. We're not giving you, real estate investment advice where we're saying you should buy this property. You're going to make X amount of return. We're just trying to make sure that you guys have informed decisions about making good real estate investment choices. And then we are filming here, so if you're here, hopefully we're okay releasing this on the internet and that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's set the stage. If you're a real estate investor or full-time real estate agent, you're in the business of sales and marketing. So if you're thinking about being a real estate agent or you're thinking about being a real estate investor, you're in sales and marketing. And whether you want to wholesale, fix, flip properties, purchase, rental, nothing happens until you get a lead, and that only happens through prospecting, networking, and marketing. And those are the three things that we're really going to talk about today. It's important that you are purposeful, because you can waste a lot of valuable time and money if you don't have a good plan and a model to copy or implement. And the goal is to create predictable opportunities and revenue by becoming the dominant force in the vertical that you decide to go after. So is it wholesaling? Is it Burr method rentals? We have this zone approach, and it's basically a sales and marketing system that you zone it and you own it. Okay. Now, zero in. You want to zero in on your target market. I trained both Amani and Michelle in this as we got started in real estate. And what I had them do is I said, hey, go to the neighborhood that you would love to buy some real estate in. Drive around the neighborhood. And we use Paragon. We go to the MLS, and you find that neighborhood, and you zone in on that neighborhood, circle all the houses, and I want you to know what's the dollar per square foot that those houses are all selling for. What's average dollar per square foot? What's the median dollar per square foot? What's the high? What's the low? And then you start to understand that market, and you look at it, and I would say data is not a valuable piece of information until it's applied with time. So data over time is really what gives you insight on what will give you true value. So you go and you look at a neighborhood today, and you go, $1 per square foot is, $243 square foot. Okay, well, if that's the only piece of information that you have, you don't have enough. But if you do that for 3 months, now you start to see a trend. You do that for a year, now you really start to see a trend. Then you start looking at other neighborhoods in the same light, and you're saying, man, this neighborhood over here sells for $267 a square foot on average. It has done that over the last 3 years. But this one over here was at $220, and now it's $290. It's going up. And you start to mark trends in real estate. And you used to only have this information if you were a real estate agent. You go to Paragon and you pull this data out, and you'd be able to analyze this and you get numbers. But now you can ask Claude or ChatGPT to pull all this stuff. It's all right there for you. So trying to be a master in your market and focus, zeroing in on your target market is really a key component. And you have to research and select. Find out what that is. Develop your value proposition. What is it that you're going to do there? And then really building your brand. What do you do that adds value to whatever transaction that you're looking to do? And all those, they don't have to be all that complicated. You don't have to have some, we have this Living a Midwest Life team brand. It doesn't really matter, but you have to understand what you feel that you're going to do in a marketplace and focus and zone in on that, because that's going to help you set yourself and differentiate yourself from any person that's doing what you're doing. Because most of the people out there are taking a shotgun approach. Go ahead.
I'll give you guys an example. So for me, I research and select commercial properties. My value proposition is that I find off-market properties for buyers. And that is my brand as well. If you want an off-market property in commercial real estate, anywhere from Green Bay to Milwaukee to Madison, that's kind of my area, you come to me, that's my brand. I'll find it for you off-market, and we'll make a deal. I don't care what you offer. I just made an offer today. This property was worth maybe $4 million. We made an offer at $3 million. because that's what it's about, and that's what my brand is.
Yeah.
So just for an example.
And then Chris, this is kind of where, so Chris is here to kind of help expand this conversation so that it's not me really just, hammering this down your throat. But I want to ask Chris, zeroing in is all about identifying the right target market. And over your 30 years of experience in real estate, how did you learn which types of deals, neighborhoods, or seller situations were best fit for your business? And how can newer investors shorten that learning curve?
Well, I love what you just said about mastering your market, because at the end of the day, there's no perfect strategy and there's no perfect marketing. But I think people try to be perfect in all of those things. They try to have it all figured out before they ever step foot out. And the problem is most people don't step their foot out. And so from a marketing standpoint, I mean, the things that I learned a long time ago was the focus, be intentional. Go find the neighborhood or the area. It could be literally a 6-block development area that is whatever year. And I always tell people, if you live in Sun Prairie, your first place you're looking shouldn't be Cross Plains. I mean, unless you've got something, your parents live there and you're driving back and forth, because I was taught, and what I taught people is try to do something that's within the flow of your day or your week or your month, and tied together with, does it make sense? Are you buying in Tacoma and it's your first deal and the homes are $1 million? That might not be the best place to start. And so it's trying to find that right spot that's a good fit for you, not only with your skill set, but the time, energy, and effort you have and the financial means you have. Now, as John had mentioned, if you find a good deal, the money will follow. That's the number one thing, and I love when people continue to say that, and too many people believe that they don't even get started because there's no money. But knowing that and developing that dial and that zone for your market, I started in neighborhoods that were 10 to 12 blocks long, and I would literally just go hit them and hit them and hit them. Not only mail or direct mail or door knocking, but what was interesting is if I asked this group, especially the newer folks, do you believe you can identify a good deal if you walk through a 12-block neighborhood? You think they're visible? You can see the good deals? What are some of the things that'd be a good deal that you think that would just make sense? If you saw it in the neighborhood, you're driving through and you saw a house, you're like,
I would say just a distressed property right away. I would go, okay, what's going on there?
Yep, so a distressed home.
Yeah, but good, pride of home ownership around, and they're like taking a look at that block and being like, that one's a little out of place, but, and it's needs work and all of that, but everything around here looks good.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when I used to go through what my coach taught me, what I teach people is, I don't look for the home in any neighborhood. I look for the homeowner with that. Most of the properties I bought in the last 10 years were homes that I wouldn't stop and go knock on the door. I wouldn't send a letter to because it was a nice house. And the house wasn't it. My market, I went into places that had people that lived there from, like my parents, 60s, 70s, 80s. They've been there 30, 40, 50 years. Most of them have it paid off. And so I targeted those neighborhoods, bread and butter places that many times it wasn't a distressed property, it was something going on with the seller. So I was buying the homeowner, I was targeting the homeowner in that market as opposed to the home. And I think most people go look for the obvious, right? It's got long grass, there's 15 newspapers, there's mailbox full, whatever, all that stuff. And it's not to say those aren't deals, they certainly are. But I think in any market, every single person is a prospect, every single one of those opportunities. So that's where I zeroed in, was to be focused in one area and go hit that and hit that and hit that, so you are the brand, just like mine said. He's a brand and you know what he's doing, and he tells people over and over and over. That's what I did in those markets. And so when it came time to get a phone call or to have a conversation, I already knew what was going on in the neighborhood. I knew what the comps were, I knew what the ARVs were, I knew what was going on. And many times those got me deals because I was building relationships and I was doing it in one area. When people go, yeah, I'm gonna market to Madison. Okay, that'll take you 18 years to do that. Zero in on a neighborhood or 10, 12, 15 block development that are homes that are built, whatever. And so you kind of figure those out, which ones make sense to you. For me, it was based on that other criteria. What's your skill set? What's your time frame? And what kind of resources do you have, both for marketing and just financially, you know, and then find your fit and then go.
Yeah.
And that's the zero.
And there's two pieces that I will take out of that. The first one is that as you prospect, you're going to find that people don't sell you their houses because they have to, but because they can. And people always ask me like, why would people sell you their house at a discount? And it isn't as much that they like are in this absolutely horrible position. They just don't want to deal with it, and they are splitting the money between 6 heirs, and the $30,000 that they would have gotten more if they would have put it on the market is just not worth the headache that they would have had to have gone through to try to get it ready. So they're just done. And then it's important to understand that, you know, those people aren't necessarily as visible as you'd like them to be, and it may not just be the house that's, you know, got a long bit of grass outside, you know. So you have to be willing to, you know, go and prospect in a way that's not going to cost you money. When I was a Homevestors franchisee, and for many years we spent over $25,000 a month on marketing to get leads, and I was very opposed to doing that for some time, and then I ended up getting it. It was a good thing, and I learned a lot doing it. And now we do a lot less than that, but it's still a significant number. But the prospecting side of things, back when I used to flip houses, you know, even, you know, when it started this, I didn't have a budget like that, and we would knock on doors, and we did a lot of different prospecting. And to be quite honest, most of us didn't, you know, don't now, and didn't have budgets to spend that kind of money. But you don't need it. And doing that prospecting on the front side of things is really a good way to get your feet wet without, like, you know, having to shell out. You know, the first 3 months, I spent what was like about $150,000 with Homevestors in the first 3 months, and I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna go belly up. And then it was almost $250,000 before I actually sold my first property. So it was a lot. I mean, that's a lot of money. Thankfully, I did that later in my career when I had money, but it was still a lot of money to do it even then. So you don't have to do that, and building your brand can start with prospecting. So great. So
I don't know if they'll go into this later, but I've started to look into this, like, you know, finding those deals like that, like, you know, heirs and things. I mean, going to the courthouse and finding the probate things. I mean, does anybody have any experience, anything they can talk about in you know, or hints, clues, you know, any experience? Like, you go to the courthouse and then you're contacting somebody that just lost a family member. Are they like, you know, you damn vulture, you know? I mean, how is that kind of received usually? I mean, I guess it's your delivery, but
Eric, yeah.
Yeah, some folks are like that. That's pretty rare though. So currently I'm working a probate deal. It should have closed last week. They had a probate open, and then they granted a PR, and then they closed probate, and then now they have to reopen it again. They're actually heading back to the courthouse. This is in Milwaukee. First thing tomorrow morning, and hopefully we're closing on Friday as well. So are you talking about like that type of like avatar, like how to market it?
yeah, I mean, how to get in and do that. I mean, just for example, because I'm trying to look at other things. So for example, in Portage, Columbia County, there's you know, I looked at the sheriff's sale. That's another angle I'm looking at. I don't know how that all works either with like financing, hard money. You know, I just don't know. It's an avenue I've never done. But I could see like through the tracks, like the house gets foreclosed on, but it was in probate. So it's like maybe there was some arguments or something, like they didn't sell, and then it ended up, you can see where it went back and forth into probate, and then they just, you know, the bank just took it back. So, you know, in my mind, I'm like, how can I get in the middle of that and say, okay, you know, you've gone to court 2 times to try and get it extended, and you're not getting anywhere.
There's a bunch of different reasons why it doesn't get done in probate. Many times it's because the asset is not worth what the debt is worth. That's probably the most common thing that I've seen anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's, so then they can't sell it because they're gonna have to write a check, and they're just like, well, just take it. The state's gonna close it out anyway. That's usually why. Okay. And so then you're not able to make a deal with them unless you can sell it short for them, but that's pretty tough to do in probate. So usually it ends up getting you know, going through a sheriff. So at that point, that's the most common one. But to your point of like, people are disturbed by the fact that you're calling them after there's a death in the family or something like that. Everybody reacts to phone calls in ways that can be very unpredictable, whether it's a probate lead Or we used to send tons and tons of mail out, and I would get people who would call me time and time again and say, "Take me off your mailing list." And I'm like, I mean, how many do you call every person that you get? Like a Furniture Mart sends you a promotion. You're taking me off your mailing list. So you just never know what the reaction is going to be. And if you're going to be in this industry to acquire assets undervalued, you're going to have to do things that you're uncomfortable with, and there's going to be times when people don't like you. I think that's.
But the times of people that you do that to, and they're praying that day, going, I need help.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all of a sudden you're like, you call and you're the knight in shining.
Yeah, so there are days, there are some amazing wins that I've had over the
Yeah.
years where I had one where I bought 2 houses from a lady, happened to be just driving by the exit that she called me from. I ended up at her house in like 15 minutes after she called. She had like 3 or 4 people who didn't show up to the appointment. I literally wrote the contracts right there for 2 houses and closed on them in like 2 weeks. She was like ecstatic, and she was from Denver. Her brother had passed away in this house. It was an old family house, and she was the nicest and thought it was the greatest thing ever that I bought these houses, and I got a great deal on both of them. So you never know. Like, some of the reactions are great like that, and some of them are, people cursing you over the phone because you sent them a piece of mail.
I think your core values also are important. So I think integrity is an incredibly important thing, because if you're going out there, there's being opportunistic and having integrity, and then there's being predatory. A lot of folks in my industry, like when I go out and I'm talking to sellers, I have to battle against the other dozen calls they got that day of predatory people who are just calling them up trying to offer them 50% of zero. And then they're calling the next people. They don't actually care what's going on with their property or who died or whatever. They're just trying to make a quick buck. So the main thing is like who you are and what your core values are, and then no matter what you do or how you're doing it, as long as you have a solid foundation of that, like that's really what matters the most.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's such a great point. We talk about it all the time. It's, Keller Williams said this, win-win or no deal. Like we literally are doing everything that we can to add value to the transaction. That value isn't going to necessarily equate to a higher dollar amount in their price. And I tell them straight up that, this is going to be the lowest net dollar value likely. This type of sale is going to be the lowest net dollar value, but it's going to be the highest value perceivably for your situation, hopefully. And then if we can, say you're going to get less cash, but you don't have to deal with cleaning this place out. You don't have to deal with an inspection. You don't have to list it. You don't have to, so all these other things that are going to provide value for you are superseding the cash value that you're foregoing. And you need to make a decision with that. Now, we offer different exit strategies for our potential sellers. So we can say, hey, if you want to get the more troublesome way of selling this, we can help you clean it up, we can help you remodel it, we can help you sell it on the market. We could do an investor private listing agreement where we just get a listing agreement and put it out to our investor network and see if we can sell it that way. Or we can write you a cash offer today. Which would you prefer? We want to make sure we're giving you the most value for your particular situation. So, any other questions?
No,
That's
great.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure. In zone, own your mind share, own the mind share of your market rather. And really, this is, the more you are a part of your market, the more you are present in your market, more forethought you put into how you're going to be in that market, the more presence you will put out there. And I know, it's amazing what I've seen Amani do just recently in the last 6 months. Amani has committed to being industrial, commercial, multifamily guru, and he's making calls every day in his market. I cannot tell you how many people I have around bankers, investors, real estate agents, like, oh yeah, your guy Amani, I talked to him the other day. I mean, people are like, oh geez, he literally is calling everybody. And that market isn't that big. Especially in Madison, it doesn't take very long to reach a lot of the multifamily owners here in Madison. He's talked to them all probably a dozen times, and he's relentless. And because of that, he's owning the market in mindshare. And Chris, so question for you. So you've built the Wisconsin area into one of the largest real estate communities here in Madison. And from a branding and network standpoint, how important is owning the mindshare of your market when it comes to attracting deals and opportunities?
It's visibility. I think that's such a big one. It's being visible out and about. And something I think you said is, it's the serving people, whether it's clients or it's other vendors or it's other investors. And I think a lot of people, there's a lot of give and take in this business, regardless of who you're working with. And I think a lot of people have a mindset that, well, if I give something, I need something in return. And there's a lot of good faith. It's just doing the right thing and not expecting to get immediate results or immediate payment for that action. And I think the combination of the visibility and serving on that side, it'll last your whole career in everything you do, because people remember that stuff. Think about it on your side when people are doing things right for you or serving you. Do you remember them? Of course, we all do. And that's what I want to be, is that person, because that visibility, the continued, just doing the right thing, offering what other people are looking for. And sometimes, as John said, I've had so many seller meetings where literally I told them a better way to sell their property, and that, I believe, then echoes from that engagement to others, that I'll get a call 6 months later, Mary said she worked with you and da-da-da-da, and all of a sudden, I barely remember Mary because I've talked to so many, but it was because I didn't have to look over my the rearview mirror at something that I might have done wrong. I was just trying to be on the up and up, so that mind share of the market of me, of what I do and how I treat people in business, whether they're investors or a seller or a vendor, any of it, it should be all the same. And if you have that mindset going in from day one, you'll never have to look over your shoulder. And things will come back to you tenfold in time. May not be tomorrow, may not be when the time actually happens, but it comes back. And I think that's something, there's no scoreboard, there's none of that. You just know it's the right thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I think you do, it does show, I think there is a scoreboard, really, that long term, if you're not doing good business, you just won't last very long.
Oh.
I think that one of the reasons that I've been in this business as long as I have is I do have a really high value proposition. I honestly believe that I'm in this business to add value to people, and I know that if I'm adding value, that the money will come. I don't really think about the money first. Certainly money is a very important thing, but it comes from the standpoint of I'm adding value, and when I do, I'm going to make money. And I do that with my team too, and I'm hard on my team, really hard on my team. Because I expect a lot of them and making sure that they're adding value too. But I know that that's what's creating their next step too. So it's doing the right thing makes a huge difference. So part of owning your mind share and owning the market really starts with this concept of prospecting, right? That's what we really were starting with. And then building it through your network. So it's like it drops down to a level, and each one of these levels kind of takes a little bit more, almost a little less of your time and a little more dollars. So at prospecting level, this is all you to some degree. This is you going out and making, one-on-one meetings, knocking on doors, developing something on your own. Networking, now you're starting to utilize people to help broaden your reach, and that might take a little bit more time, dollars per, it may take a little bit more of your, networking time. You're going to be out there meeting more and more people. And the marketing side, that's where shit gets expensive. If you're not doing the first two and you just go out and start marketing, you're going to be pissing away a lot of dollars. So the point is that these two, prospecting and networking, are so critical for you to really build your business. And it's kind of like, I've seen people like, I'm just going to start buying Google Ads. If you haven't started with step 1 and 2 and worked your way into marketing, you're going to end up pissing away a lot of money. So thinking about how you can, do things like this that get you out there so that you're ready to do your marketing when you decide to do that. I've done it in different businesses where we just went on through dollars at a problem. Usually that's in a marketing way, and it just doesn't work. So any comment on that at all, Chris?
I don't know anything specific. I think it's kind of a big umbrella, concept, right?
Sure.
And the prospecting, I think it's, you fall back into getting that branding and awareness, but it's the consistency, it's showing up, it's that slow drip. because the biggest thing is people are always starting and stopping, and they wonder why it doesn't work, and they lose that momentum. And I think, you know, getting out in the market, you've got, you know, door-to-door and marketing. I get asked a lot, man, if you had to make 50 grand in 90 days, what would you do if someone, you know, had a gun to your kid's head? I'd be door knocking every single day because I'm nose to nose with people. But most people won't door knock because it's the biggest fear in the world, next to public speaking. But I look at that from a prospecting and a marketing standpoint. There's a lot of things you can do, you know, whether that's costing $1 or costing of time. You have to give up one of them, and you get to choose. Yeah, I think it's consistency. It's going out there, and they all work. That's the great part with the prospecting and marketing. You know, some people are great with direct mail. Other people, social media, they're great on Facebook. And other people, man, they used to sell whatever door to door in college, and now door knocking to go, you know, be a real estate investor is no big deal. It's like they can take 100 no's before they get a yes.
Yeah. Well, and in prospecting, we went through a bunch of those, but like in the networking side, this is one of the things. Like you're right here, you're in a GRID meeting right now. This is a great networking, and letting the world know that you're in the business you're in, so that you can potentially, you know, attract that type of business to you. Tell everybody in the world that you invest in what. Like that's what Amani's doing. Hey, I'm helping connect people who are buying commercial and real estate, commercial, multifamily, industrial real estate with buyers and sellers who are doing the same. So he's constantly doing that. A big one too is becoming a connector. You know, as you get out into the marketplace, you don't need to know how to do all these things. What you need to know is who does the things that would allow people to do transactions. So, you know, you build a dream team. We'll talk about this in a moment. I think it might be so marketing. This is what we were talking about for mailers and stuff. And I think this is the last thing, especially if you're a new investor. This is the last thing that you do once you started building a network and you've done some prospecting. But you know, getting into the network, we're going to talk about the dream team here in a minute because it's on another slide. But how do you find a network of people that are in your industry that are going to help you build and nurture your business together? It's a very important. And honestly, I did right when I got into this business. As a banker, I got into this group called Buy Referral Only. And I've been living by that. I've been telling everybody as they come on, like, go build your network, go out and get your network, because that was the thing that I got all my business from. I just, you know, found a real estate agent. I was a banker at the time. I found an appraiser. I found, you know, a title guy. I found all these, and then we'd meet and we talk about deals and we talk about clients, and boom, we just started to have deals together. So it was a really, really good thing. Okay, so nurture. N is for nurture. Grow your database. So now that you've got somebody there, how do you continually follow up with those people, and how do you keep those people? How do you keep yourself in top of mind with everybody that you've met? Because that's how you get those referrals. You incubate your database. You know, have a database, create digital content, and then convert those to leads. Amani and our team has been using a system called Follow Up Boss. And really, it's taken us, you know, a good year, 2 years almost to master. We've tried different ones, and I don't know if the systems weren't good for us or we weren't ready for the system yet, but we finally got ourselves situated in something that allows us to, you know, do that conversion. And if you're in the rental game, like when we take applications for rentals, I put all these people who are, you know, rental applications, I put them in there. You never know when they're coming back around for another property if you didn't qualify them. You might be able to send them information about your property or other properties. You never know when maybe you refer those to a real estate agent. Now that real estate agent's got a property that they're selling and they're coming back to you. So whatever contact you come across in whatever industry, I mean, maybe it's, you know, you're in Madison Transit. Like you've got database of employees there. You've got different contractors, all of those things. They're an opportunity for you to have a contact, talk with somebody about the things that you do. Real estate is one of those things that I know very few people who have said, oh, you know, I've never considered that. I'm right. I mean, if you talk about real estate, everyone's like, oh yeah, I thought about doing that. It's a very easy, approachable topic to just talk about with anybody. So it's certainly something that can help you nurture and grow your real estate. So, and lastly, E is empower and impact your community. And we've been talking about this kind of across the board. You know, what does that really mean? if you're educating your community, this is what we're trying to do here, hosting events, what we're trying to do, and engaging local businesses. But you don't need a business to do this. This seems like it's something that's, well, I'm not there yet, right? You can say, but that doesn't really matter. You can go out and be talking about what it is that you want to do in your community. When you improve one house, my slogan with Property Revival back in the day was giving homes new life. And we used to say we're changing the neighborhoods one house at a time. And this is back in 07 when houses were, there's 15 foreclosures on a block. So you just changing one house, and you come in and do the Burr method on a dilapidated home. Go to the coffee shop and you put up a flyer about renting that house, and you say, hey, this is what I'm doing as a landlord here. And that is community impact. So how do you use the things that you're doing, that you're adding value to the community, which is what we were talking about a moment ago? How are you using that value add to show the community that you're doing something for them? And you can do that by empowering them with, educating with what you're doing, and potentially inviting them to things like this, and engaging businesses in general. So by following this roadmap, you can get a highly targeted sales and marketing machine that brings you leads and gives you deals predictably month in and month out. And that's really what you're looking for if you're looking for building your real estate portfolio. You can certainly do this by working with a really good real estate agent, just tell them to send you a deal every now and then. But it's just a lot slower process, and you don't have the buy-in that's going to really long-term bring you wealth. Networking for yourself, getting there, digging in, learning your market, and then doing everything that we talked about is the things that's going to really help bring true value to your real estate business over time. So empowering and impacting your community is a huge part of your story, really, Chris. I mean, you did a lot of that. Through education and your real leadership, how has serving and helping others in the real estate business ultimately helped you grow and your business grow?
Well, I think a big part of it's, you mentioned relationships, but I think a big one is that connector side as well. As being that person. You mentioned teams, having the dream team there pops up, and all of that I think is essential, and it's serving, because I think a lot of people are afraid to share what they call the secrets, right? The secret sauce. There is no secret sauce. People have been doing it for 200 years. And so having a scarcity mindset isn't going to get you ahead. And, people always said, why do you train other people? Why do you teach other people how to invest? Aren't you creating your competition? And I'm like, man, there's so many deals out there. Trust me, there's not enough people actually doing deals. They say they are. There's a lot of people in the world of education, and they keep showing up. I've had people come to my RIA for 10 years, and they're the smartest people I know. They've never written one off. And so don't be that person. Again, continue to keep growing and keep networking and keep showing up. And I think that's where so much of that makes a difference, because you can't succeed in this business, sitting on an island. And I think you're in this room, so great. Applaud all of you. Keep coming back. But it's keep connecting, it's keep doing those things, and don't have a scarcity mindset. Someone's not gonna steal the next deal from you. They're probably not even looking for that next deal. They just happen to be at that networking meeting, so go out, work them, go out and have a plan, have a better habit, and consistently do it over and over and over. You can't not succeed if you do that. You can't not.
The abundance mindset is way more valuable than a scarcity mindset, for sure. And you will find that I cannot tell you how many deals I've done with real estate agents over the years that have brought me the real estate deal. And I always tell my other real estate agents that are not on our team, I meet them all the time. I'm like, hey, if you ever find a deal, I'll bring you the deal, and I will pay you the commission on the deal as I purchase it, and I will give you the listing back when I'm done selling. I'm ready to sell it. I'm here to make a deal work. And many times we'll split the commissions, or we'll do some sort of profit sharing split. I've done deals with people, if somebody brings me a deal and says, hey, I can't buy this thing, would you be interested in partnering with me? Sure. I'm much more apt to take a smaller piece of the pie and spread the risk across something, and I don't need all the deals. And I honestly, people ask me, why do you take on partners? I kind of like it. I like the process of working with somebody through something rather than just doing it on my own. it is maybe more work and a little bit less money. But I truly enjoy the camaraderie that you get out of having an investment with somebody. So for all you guys, if you ever find a deal, I did one with Teresa, where hey, I want to buy this property, I don't know if I can get it. What would you do? Money is there. We can buy anything as long as the deal is good. And I do that. I've done it on long-term investments. My last assistant, we bought about $1.5 million of property together. He now works with another company, and we still have real estate assets together. So it's great. I love that, and partnerships are really great. Part of developing your dream team, and that's what we're going to talk a little about. Who is that in real estate? Here are your guys, and hard money lenders. We've got Eric here right now. Settlement agents, title companies. We had a title company the last time we were here. Obviously, real estate agents, contractors. We've got Danny right here. Suppliers. We do supply stuff. So I sell cabinets and countertops and only to flippers like this. And I have great deals on like hardwood floors and that kind of stuff. We buy direct from the manufacturer. It's awesome. We only get a few different types of selections when we do it. We buy like a die lot of like 10,000 square feet of a really good hardwood, and you get it at 50 cents on the dollar. So that kind of stuff. Staging companies. We got Michelle here. All this stuff. Attorneys, divorce attorneys, wholesalers. This is what you're looking for, and that's why you network. Questions?
Does anybody need a quick drink or a break or a snack? There's plenty of wine and drinks over there. No? Okay.
I think we're almost wrapped up. So, how do you feed your network, right? What do? You call them, you feed them with deals, and you help them as much as you can. That's, you can't have a network of people and constantly be asking them for things. That doesn't work. You have to have a network of people that whenever you have to think about what is it that a settlement agent needs. They need real estate agents, right? They need, sellers. What do hard money lenders need? They need other investors, right? So contractors, what are they looking for? They're looking for other investors. How can we connect all these guys to do a little bit better, and then they're going to want you to do better? And that's really what your network and your team is all about. It's not all about you, because it's all about, hey, how are these guys going to make me money? That team won't last very long.
And here's the way to turn the tables is you find one of those in each one of those categories, and you call them and ask them how you can help them.
Yeah.
Whatever their next deal is, or their next, who's a good client for you, or who's a good referral, or whatever, they'll be like, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody does.
So by referral only, that was their number one thing. And so they would have you call anybody who you thought you could get business from, and what you would ask them is, what is the best type of referral that I could give you? Who is that client? I'm like, what? And that's you'd be asking. I have 2 dogs. They're very nice, but I won't let them up because they'll go crazy. So that's pretty much it, guys. Oh, boys. What did you guys learn today that created a shift in the way of your thinking? Anybody?
I think the dream team aspect is critical, especially if somebody's like just starting out, maybe never done a deal before, or whatever, or even kind of done just a couple. I think the dream team that you mentioned is kind of like a foundation that you can use of confidence, that you can go out there and you're talking to sellers or whatever, and you think like, oh my God, how am I going to pay for this deal, or what happens at the closing table, or all these different things. If you already have like that network taken care of, and you're constantly talking with those people, and like I said, providing them value, and then finding things out, next thing you know, you have the confidence out there when you're talking to a seller that, if you're going to close a deal, all those steps are taken care of. The money will be there. The title agent will be there. Settlement agent will be there. Everybody will be there to support you.
Right. Well, and as you guys get to your first deal, I mean, basically anybody in this room that's part of GRID, we're here to help. Like I truly, I don't need to make any money off you. But you call me like, hey, John, I got this deal that I'm trying to put together. What is my next step? I'll talk you through it. Like, I have no problem doing that. I truly love the process of buying and selling real estate. And I love the wealth that it builds. And there's just so many things that over the years I've gotten so excited about it. I could talk for days about it. And And I truly believe that there's no other vehicle for generating wealth that is equal to real estate. You know, certainly you could start a company that goes crazy and gives you incredible returns. So, but real estate, as far as just an investment perspective, the tax laws that were written in this country were written by landowners, and they really take a lot of advantage. They give a lot of advantage to real estate owners. So, awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys coming. You can join our Facebook group. You can watch GRID events on playback, and then if you can RSVP for next month. We are going to be building this group, and there's awesome topics